meeting to order at 7:01, and we will need the current confirmation of the agenda. Be it resolved that the committee confirm the agenda is presented. Can I have a mover and a seconder? A mover, anyway. I'll move it. You want to second it, Brian?
Brian, you're muted.
That's a nod.
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Okay.
Sign language today.
The declaration of pecuniary interest. We all know the routine. If you can, if you have any, say it now or say it throughout the meeting, and we'll go from there. And as far as delegations and presentations, there is none really. This is all about the hockey. We know who they are. Adoption of minutes. Be it resolved that the committee approve the minutes from the February 13th, 2020 Recreation Advisory Committee meeting as presented. Do I have a mover and a seconder? I'll move it. You want to nod your head, Brian?
Yep.
I take that as any discussion on that. Hearing none, we'll go into number 7 on the agenda. Recreation updates. 7.1, discussion with South Grey Minor Hockey Executive regarding their August 5th, 2020 council delegation. So the discussion topics, including but not limited to the following, are Southgate's introductory statement, Dundalk Minor Hockey historical revenues, the South Grey Minor Hockey use commitments to Dundalk Arena of 18 hours per week. The other bullet says other South Grey Minor Hockey use options for Dundalk Arena, and South Grey Minor Hockey commitment agreement with municipality. So where do we want to go? We want to start with the Southgate's introductory statement.
Let's just get a mover and seconder first, Martin, then we can go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'll move it. And Brian, do you want to second it?
Well, just a question for Lindsay, I suppose. What are we moving, Lindsay?
I just have it as a motion just to receive the discussion as information, but if we wanted to have an amendment to it later, that's fine too.
Sure, okay.
Very good then. So, it is carried. And then Southgate's introductory statement. Dave or Kevin, would you like to look into that?
Yeah, I'll start.
Thank
Martin.
you.
And this is just kind of our bullets that we want to talk about, and please, as we go through, we'll go through each one as a discussion item and talk about that. And minor hockey, please be part of that conversation. So we want to make sure that minor hockey, whatever form it takes, that we've got. I think we've got a commitment, and we got a support for minor hockey with Dundalk that goes back many, many years, and we're committed to working with the new minor hockey committee on whatever issues that we can come to terms with. We don't care about the amount of ice or the ice rate really per hour we charge. It's more important the hours of use cover historical operating losses that we have. The question for council at the present time and the future is what cost is acceptable to council and the ratepayers of Southgate. At the present time, we're absorbing $80,000 a year loss, which I want to qualify is burdened with all recreation administration costs in that $80,000, and that costs us about $76, $77 per hour of ice, based on just calculations of 40 hours per week, and that's what it costs us over and above what we charge our rates based on the 80,000. Just from research we've done, it's the Flusherton Arena, for example. We have an $80,000 loss. They have a $120,000 loss, but it's not burdened by administration. And that cost is about $115 per hour. And burdened with administration, we estimate it's around that $35 $135 an hour to $140 an hour. Now, I know I think pretty clearly I can say, but we'd have to talk about it at council. There's no way council's interested in approaching that. But with that said, if we could give you ice for likely $50 or $60 or $70 an hour if we were able to absorb those kind of losses. But I think that's important for understanding as to where we're operating. We also understand from some of our research that there is some consideration for increasing ice rates in Grey Highlands and for levying like a part of the rental fee for the extra COVID costs. So there'd be an actual cleaning levy fee for that being considered. Now, whether that goes ahead, we just want to make sure that minor hockey understands any kind of extra cleaning costs we are absorbing in our present rental rates. So we do have some questions for minor hockey because I think, it's maybe a bit uneasy for us to understand maybe just how you're going to operate, because there's, whether it's rumors or fact, but rep hockey are not going to be allowed to travel. So we need to discuss how's rep hockey going to function? Will there be hours there for rep hockey, or will be more or less, or how's that going to function? Plus, we are hearing concerns in our community now that this discussion has gone on, that there's amalgamation about, maybe the possibility of some Dundalk minor hockey members migrating to Shelburne minor hockey because of the service area restrictions. And I'm not sure I fully understand all that, but those are discussions out there. So what's the stability of, because we're in this together. I mean, if we think this is kind of a your side, our side, I think we need to look at this as how can we solve these issues together and make minor hockey stronger, because I know we are committed to that. There's a commitment there. But at what cost? So council has some decisions to make based on these kind of discussions of where are we going? Local, in past Dundalk minor hockey had community people from the community, and the community being Southgate and Melanchthon kids are supported in Dundalk with levy fees that they pay for operating the arena and supporting that arena deficit. But is there for people that aren't in Southgate playing hockey, is there a non-resident fee? That's a discussion, but I don't think that's, to me, tit for tat. There's going to be Dundalk kids playing in Flushing and Flushing kids playing in Dundalk with this present structure. But we do have to decide on fee structure and non-prime use versus prime use. I think needs to be a consideration. And anyway, I think we need to work towards developing a plan as the the hourly rates and the use, and so both parties know going forward what's where we're at, and we can talk about some of these things. That's kind of a high level, but we'll get into more detail on some of those things a bit later. But just to open it up for discussion or response from minor hockey on those comments.
Yeah, I don't think you guys would know a heck of a lot better than us about revenue generation and what your losses are and stuff like that. I don't think that we're necessarily looking for a dollar amount as opposed to some kind of meeting ground between Southgate and Grey Highlands that I don't know if it'd be some kind of new minor hockey rate just so that they kind of match up. At the end of the day, obviously, if our ice was to be decreased in cost, that would be great. But I don't know what the formula is to solve it for sure. And as far as the new center point of the organization is the Southgate Grey Highlands town line and Highway 10 there, the old Kit Kat store. So I think Grayson might be able to speak a little bit better about this as far as the Southgate stuff, but I think that there was not very many, maybe less than 15 or 20 that had a right of choice to play in Shelburne. So we're not going to lose any players with this amalgamation.
Okay, yeah, and that's, I mean, that's what we want to hear. But I mean, I think there is that out there, according to some people that have talked to us as arena operations and so on. You know, like when you can feel for somebody that may be in that Shelburne boundary, and I don't know what that is, but if they're coming from Orangeville or Brampton, you know, and there's a place to play minor hockey in Shelburne, that might be something that's gonna, well, it's gonna hurt both of us. I mean, you know, it's hours of ice is what we're really wanting to look at.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, for example, if to cover that 60,000 at 18 hours, basically, you know, if you look at 5 months of ice time operations at 18 hours a week for those 5 months, you'd have to have $151 an hour for 18 hours.
Right.
So is there a way that instead of 18 hours, we could get 24 hours and charge you $100 and we'd be still happy? You know, so I think those are some discussions we can get into maybe later as to how we cover off some of that. But just, you know, is that tournaments or whatever. But
Dave?
Anyway, that's discussions. Yes.
Grayson's just typing on the chat. He doesn't have his mic or camera hooked up, so he's just said he's taking notes, but he just wrote and said 3 families had right of choice to go to Shelburne. As of now, no one is planning on that, to my knowledge.
Well, that's good news. That's good. So maybe it's just there, but I think that's something that minor hockey is going to have to make sure they're looking after their customers accordingly.
Yeah, we don't foresee a loss of players out of Dundalk or even out of Flesherton, which I know is not Southgate's concern, but we're in the same boat. We've gone to people that do have right of choice, and we don't see a loss. Just to comment on the non-resident fees, there's that same thing that could be said with Grey Highlands. We've had Dundalk players playing here the last few years, and Flesherton players playing there. And I think your point of it balances out between the two, that we're trying to give them both a place to play, and I don't foresee that as a challenge moving forward.
Yeah, and I don't think as a whole council will either, but don't be surprised if you hear a council member that maybe doesn't like this proposal mention that, like, why are we subsidizing? But to me, if it's a 50-50 split on membership, that's a non-issue.
Yeah, and as we talked about at the council meeting, our numbers over the last 5 years have been back and forth a bit because we have joined some teams, but you can go, balance it off. But in essence, it's fairly close to 50-50 that both centers are benefiting.
Yeah.
And to your point, we want to dispel any rumors. So if there are any of those things that come up, I think the biggest thing is we want communication between us. And if there is any of these rumors, that's what we want to come to the table so that we can help address them.
Yeah. So maybe we'll put our cards on the table regarding non-resident fees. We do pay non-resident fees to players from Southgate that play in Mount Forest. You may hear that. So why isn't Southgate doing that for? No, because we've got an arena for the people around Dundalk. Around Mount Forest, we don't have an arena in Holstein. So it's cheaper, far cheaper for us to subsidize Mount Forest players if they live in Southgate than for us to provide an arena, obviously, in Holstein. Right. Furthermore, if you can find a way to lift up the arena and move it to the other side of Croton Station and Grey Highlands look after it, we'll pay that $200 per person. I don't think there would be any discussion there. But we operate arena. It's good for our community. But, we have to do it affordably, too. So, anyway, and again, I think there's agreement from the group on the call here tonight that, we need to be in this thing together with you and find some solutions that we can all live with. Is there any more discussions on those other comments? We can just lead into this whole slate of kind of list of things was something that Kevin and I put together with other staff and things that we need to discuss. but is there any more discussions on the introductions or comments from council?
I'll just jump in on one about the ice cost. So just to be transparent, is we are at $105, and Grey Highlands has committed to that for this year. But in their budget increase of this year, we will be going up 7% effective September of 2021. So just so it's clear, we will be going up to I think it's 113 or 112.71. So just so that's clear on the table.
Yep.
Okay. Martin here. With that being said, then, I'm looking at the ice rates right now, and the non-resident figure is halfway between the 105 from Grey Highlands and the prime ice time, which is at 117.83 plus HST. So if there's a middle ground to work on, maybe that's one of them that we could make it fair for everybody if there is a true 50-50 split. So that's the figure to really kind of look at. In the report here, doing that, it said it would achieve the budget, and would negate this whole idea of subsidizing kids from here and kids from Grey Highlands, and so that's maybe one point we could look at. So anyway,
Martin, maybe we could have Kevin provide us with what our, just so everybody knows, is our rate 131, Kevin, that we're proposing based on the 18 hours?
I don't have Liam's new budget, but that's the decision we have to make. Are we treating Grey Highlands or the new organization a local organization or non-resident? Because we have two rates. The minor hockey local with the 2% we just put in there, 113.76. So local minor hockey this year is going to be 116.03 plus HST. The non-residents, if council decides to call them non-resident, it's 117.83. It's going to be 120 plus HST. So those are the two rates that we're dealing with right now, because we just kept past the increase at the last council meeting for this season. So
is that 113 with HST or without HST from Grey Highlands?
HST.
The Grey Highlands number.
So right now we play
The 105 that's going to 113, is that HST in or out?
HST included.
Included. Okay.
We always talk the gross fees, so yes.
Okay, so what's the 113.76 with the HST, Kevin?
That, like our new rate for next year, that includes the HST.
Okay.
So you might as well figure out our number with the HST in so that we can
compare apples to apples.
Right.
Yeah.
128.50.
And that's on the 113?
116.
115.
So is it 113, 128, or is the 116, 128?
So it's 116.03 is the local minor hockey, divided by 1.13. HSTN will be 131.12.
okay.
That's our local rate.
And what's the 113, which is 128? What's that supposed to be? Is that
I think you're misunderstanding, Dave. The 113 in Grey Highlands includes the HST.
no? But Kevin quoted a 113 as well, I thought.
That's our current last year's rate, 113.76. So it is now 113.76. We went up 2%. So that rate now is 116.03. So that's our minor hockey. That's our minor hockey rate. So full in, you're looking at 131.12 is our minor hockey.
We're going to be $18 over Gray Highlands by next fall.
Correct.
Yes. But our operating deficit is, our burden on the taxpayers is 60,000 less. So we can offer that rate, but we're going to have to increase our operating deficit by 60,000.
Yeah.
I think
Just
our
a quick
taxpayers are on board for that.
Is that deficit for Gray Highlands just for Fletcherton, or does that include all three of their arenas?
So the Flusherton deficit by itself is 120 without administration. Then there's another 200,000 in deficit for recreation as a whole. It has to be divided amongst the arenas and summer programs and so on. So we're anticipating, like 10 to 12% of that is likely for Flusherton Arena.
Yep.
All four arenas in Gray Highlands right now are costing the taxpayers $915,000 a year, almost $1 million to operate 4 facilities. That's their deficit.
Anyway, we don't have that challenge.
I'd like to confirm that number just to be clear, but.
Go ahead. But
Go ahead. I took it right off their budget.
There's a recreation administrative deficit of 200 alone, and then the deficit in Flusherton's 120. So there's 320 of the 900, and 3 other arenas yet to come. So this was just I asked Kevin to do that research, and that's what we found with his discussion. But anyway, let's come back to Dundalk Arena and how we can make this work. To be honest, and I don't take this wrong, but I don't care. We don't care what Gray Highlands is doing. We want to work with your group, with Dundalk Arena, and provide service for our community through your program.
Yeah.
And we're, this $60,000 number is one that historically we've been working with minor hockey, and maybe that's the next discussion I think on the list there is, we've talked about that a little bit. We talked about it at different meetings with just Dundalk minor hockey. That was an established number that we really needed for the arena to operate with minor hockey as a major partner. So I guess, and then the next discussion is, that proposed use of 18 hours per week won't generate $60,000 at that 131 number. We're still about $20 an hour short. So maybe I'll go to the third thing as far as minor hockey options for Dundalk Arena. I mean, if the numbers and hours go up, hourly rate, I think council's very prepared to support minor hockey with a lower rate. I mean, if it's $100 an hour for whatever 24 or hours of ice, that would be great. But how can we do that through creating a girls hockey program in Dundalk, having tournaments on the weekend, and we work with you at bundling the auditorium as part of that weekend event, so you guys can have a whole facility for that use. Can we work together with our recreation staff to create skating programs through minor hockey that you provide as part of your services, skills training, power skating? I mean, bring people in. What about the local house league type hockey like Rockland's doing, where kids just want to learn, have fun, and no travel, which you might get graduates out of that program that in years ahead might want to actually join full-fledged minor hockey and travel with a team. But those are things that we can work with you on if you're interested in having those other programs or services. I think it would be good for both arenas. I mean, a figure skating program, I don't know if there's a will in Dundalk, but I mean, figure skating used to be pretty popular. Even if it was 1 or 2 hours a week, that would be another help to the to your programs as well, and just maybe it's not in your wheelhouse, but can you create partnerships to get more ice time consumed?
Yes,
Discussions there?
I'll speak to the programs. Ethan has been doing a great job there. Last year, I think that there was half a dozen kids that were part of his Learn to Skate that transferred right over to hockey and finished from around Christmas time to the end of season. They were playing hockey with Dundalk. So those programs for sure are a benefit to everybody. And Ethan's really good with all of that. I tip my cap to him every time I see him. He's goes above and beyond for sure.
So is there a way, Rob, that you could, RJ, that you could make that part of your registration and enroll those people, and say, hey, we've got enough people here for 2 or 3 hours a week for ice, and maybe we can run the program for you.
Yeah, for sure. I think that would we could definitely explore that option. I don't know the logistics of it and how Ethan would take to that. He was part of our executive for the last bit of the season last year, so I know that he's keen to be involved in it. So for sure, it could be something that we could explore.
Yeah, don't take this wrong, but he's our employee, and we would kind of make it part of his program. He'd have to deliver that. Like, my thinking is Ethan, as a Southgate recreation guy, is going to deliver the skate program.
Yep.
You guys through minor hockey enroll people. This is just thinking. You enroll people that just want to have fun, whether it's a stick and a half ice, and they don't want to bump and bruise with people. They just want to go out and skate and learn. And Ethan teaches them those basics. And hey, if we get 2 or 3 or 5 graduates a year that want to say, hey, this is my deal, I want to be Connor McDavid, maybe not sitting on the sidelines, but they want to be, that Brian got that one. Anyway, is there a way that we can, get more participation? Because maybe that's something we can make affordable, and then they'll get hooked. We can look into things like that with you if you want.
Yeah, certainly can.
That'll be an agreement that we create. Sorry?
The Can Skate program is certainly something that I think any coach, we're all pretty keen on, because when you get young kids that want to start and they put them right into hockey, it's not a fun thing. So Can Skate is an awesome program that has been run in Osprey prior, and it's certainly something that we've talked about as we get an association that's stronger, that we could certainly start at the grassroots, and it'd be a great partnership.
Okay.
Martin here.
What about? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just thinking, with this, could that be a seed program for just getting a house league started? Because it still sounds like it's rep, right? Get a house league.
Our new program is running house league and rep together.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But
Thank
certainly
you.
the Can Skate program certainly allows kids to learn how to skate before they get into house league, and maybe they're not interested because they don't know how to skate. So it's anybody that's gone through Can Skate is a great program to get people into hockey and then be sustainable to stay.
Okay. Thank you.
And again, Martin, you and I have talked about this house league thing. I think that maybe there's rep hockey, then there's house league, but I think we should talk about, it's a hometown league. I think Rick Rockland's program, I'm sure you're familiar with that. They just bunch of kids get together and play hockey in the Rockland Arena. I mean, is there people that just want to do that you could register as well? And, they don't have a jersey, but we get them yellow jerseys, red jerseys, and there's 3 or 4 teams and they play.
Yeah.
On half ice.
Wellington North has a program similar to that. I think they run it down in Arthur, and it's been really successful down there. I think they call it Sticks and Pucks or something like that, but it's basically a shinny league, really.
Yeah. Sounds good.
But I noticed that, you know anything about it, Brian or maybe the 3 members from minor hockey, like, how's the insurance run on that? Is that likely through the municipality or minor hockey? It won't be through OMHA, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure it won't be.
That part I don't know.
Not sure. I know Center Hastings, the team that we played in all Ontario's, they have a very similar program. So there's certainly we could reach out to those centers and find out how they run that kind of fun part of that hockey.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can get some background on the Arthur program.
If you could get 20 kids playing in Dundalk that, paid $300 or $400 a year, I mean, that's every little bit helps. And then there again, a graduate program, and maybe it builds. But like, somebody told me the other day, and that's how far to touch I am. Minor hockey rates like $1,000 pretty much a year for a kid to play hockey now.
So our proposed rates, and so take this with a grain of salt, because obviously with COVID, we're kind of in a little bit, unsure, but based on last year's budget going forward, if all kids come back, and that's how we have a history, we're looking at roughly $475 to $500 from novice through Pee-wee, random and midget closer to the $600. And we do have some of the lower costs around in centers. You get into AAA and that, you're a whole different level.
Oh, but, for sure.
Random and midget, you're in that $550, $600 a year right now.
Okay, that's not so bad. I was hearing, but further south, that is likely where the numbers are coming from.
Yeah.
People paying $1,000, that's a pretty hard hit for a family. But anyway, even $600, $500 is not easy.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
I'm not here to complain about our cost of ice for sure, because I know that there's lots of arenas that are well over $200, $300, $400 for an hour of ice. So that's not what we're here for. We're just trying to find a common ground between us and Grey Highlands, and we get that, because if we make it unaffordable, they're just going to quit playing. I mean, there's only so much available income these days. That's right.
So I think it's more about, it's not the number we charge. It's more about, again, from 60,000. Can we get more people putting the money into the cookie jar to pay that, and keep the rates down for both the users and the ice rates? But
last year we bought just under $63,000. Probably projected close to 70,000, but we were cut it about 2.5 weeks short. So that was at 24 hours. We used 21, and we sold 3 hours a week to Shelburne.
Right.
So to get to that 60,000, I think is probably doable.
Okay.
And it's hard to say, especially this year, because like we had a meeting with, or a couple of guys were on a meeting with OMHA last night, just trying to iron out what hockey's going to look like. So we haven't even had a chance to do a registration just because of the COVID. So everything's really up in the air.
Okay. What was the other topics we were going to talk about? And I guess at the end of the day, I mean, I think we need to have some sort of agreement and commitment with one another. Like, there's things like, obviously ice time commitment, but what programs and services we can work together on. The use of the auditorium as part of, volume use for tournaments, and, like, how many tournaments are you going to use? I'm sure our council would like to see tracking and reporting on how many players are from Southgate or Melancthon in the using the Dundalk Arena, and how many Southgate or Melancthon kids are using the Western Arena. So we get the idea of, we can report to Melancthon and to our council what the user base is for those two arenas from our communities. And then one thing that Kevin brought up that I think is a good point to discuss is, storage of equipment and jerseys. Are you looking for those same kind of things? And if you are, I think that needs to be in an agreement as well. But the comments on you'd still want that locker that we have there?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the pressing concerns too is we want the same benefits that the Dundalk Storm had as this new organization as well.
Yeah. I think just to add on to that is really we're looking at, we had two different associations, and if we didn't join, our numbers were going to drop, and we're going to both rent less ice in both arenas. By joining together, and let's go pre-COVID, because COVID has variables we don't know. Our goal going into this year is that we were going to rent the same amount of ice in both centers and use things like the storage facilities, and really nothing changed other than we're running two organizations as one, but needing the same storage and working relationship that we've had in the past. Even though it's one association, roughly half the kids are from each municipality, and some are playing in Fletcher and some are playing in Southgate, but the reality is it's the same at the end of the day.
Right. Like, to be honest, and Kevin and I had a bit of a chat about this storage locker, and he may want to say more on it, but you could have a team that resides out of Flusherton with a Dundalk coach that may want to store the sweaters in the Dundalk locker.
Yeah, and our goal with ice,
to store, vice versa.
Our goal with ice time, just so you know, is that we use half at each arena, and then all players play an ice time in Flusherton and an ice time in Dundalk each week. Now,
Okay, gotcha.
as the schedulers get doing that, we can't confirm that's going to be 50 every single week.
No.
But that is the goal, that kids are not, you don't have a Dundalk kid that's playing all his time in Flusherton, or the opposite. Our goal was try to marry it up so that there is equal representation of both arenas for ice hours per week, and the kids are playing in both centers.
Yeah, okay. And that would be good for attendance, for drawing people to the arena for admissions too, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, Dave, I think there's a lot of parallels here, excuse me, between this proposal and what I see going on in Wellington North, because they've had the Mount Forest Arthur thing for quite a number of years now, and it's working really well. I mean, it's Wellington North Minor Hockey Association, but some kids play some of the time in Arthur, some kids play some of the time in Mount Forest, and at the end of the season, it's a wash, really. It's a benefit for both of our communities to make this work, for sure.
Yeah, and there's I should talk to Mike Givens about how they run that. Here's my angle: is you get any HST back from the government at the end of the year, so it's paid and it's gone. The good old government takes it. See,
Careful, we are the government.
I know we are, but we don't get HST. We petition thing, we'd like to get 1% of HST, but that's not happened yet. See, we get HST back, but if you registered, I don't know how we could slice and dice this, but if you registered the kids into a program and we run it, and we charge the fee and did the accounting to put that money towards your ice time rental, we could reduce cost by 13% if the program was kind of quasi through us. Not 13%, 11%, because we pay 2% HST as a government. But I'd have to run that through the treasurer to see if we could pull that off even.
Yeah.
But anyway, it all depends whether it's a Southgate program or not. Like, Kevin, do you charge HST on school lessons?
Yeah. Yeah, we take registration and we have to charge it. We don't charge it, we just back HST out. So we make a flat rate of $50, and then we take divide it by 1.13, and that's the rate.
Right.
But
Yep. What that tells me is that's likely bad news, because if you're charging it to them as a service, anyway, we'll talk to Liam. Chances are we're remitting that whole 13% then as a service provider. But anyway, that's something. But anyway, you're going to have to talk to your committee and see if you want to set something like that up long term or short term. And are you thinking of running tournaments once a month, one on each center, or what's your thoughts there?
So one of the problems this year is with the OMHA and COVID is that there are currently no tournaments allowed this year. And this is,
Right.
I think it's kind of a kind of what's our long-term relationship. And then realizing this year could be, there's just so many things up in the air with registration and kids registering and when they're allowed to actually play games. And right now tournaments are suspended for the season. That could change, but it's kind of up in the air for this year.
Okay, so really, I think we maybe need to, and I'm going to just throw this out for discussion, and you take it from here, Mr. Chair, is maybe we just need to realize we're both going to take a bit of hurting this year, and we're really planning for the 21-22 hockey season.
Yeah.
Anyway, I turn it back to you. I think as staff, we've said enough.
Just with COVID, we may not even put our ice in, so be prepared for that. We have no other rentals. Men's hockey will not go because there's no dressing rooms with the protocols. We have talked to all our other user groups, and our user groups are not coming back under the new protocols. So if you're thinking we're putting the ice in for 18 hours a week, that may not happen. So COVID, yes, there may be a lot of arenas in the whole province that aren't even putting ice in. Ellenvale, we're going to put their ice in this week. They put it off till end of September now for their minor hockey. So that's the thing. Hopefully between Flusherton and us, if Flusherton goes in, they can accommodate you this year, or if Flusherton's full, we'll go in and accommodate it. But for any facility to go in for less than 30 hours a week, you probably won't see a lot of facilities putting ice in because we just can't afford it.
What are the protocols, Kevin, that you referred to?
Well, right now, no one's allowing dressing rooms except for Owen Sound. Owen Sound has chalked off their dressing rooms in 6-foot grids, allowing 6 people in each dressing room, but they have 12. So for one ice surface, so they have the dressing room space. Everyone else right now is you dress outside, you come in, there's a bench, you put your skates on, you go on the ice, you head right out the door. No spectators, no nothing. Now it's going up to 25 people on the ice here. I think OMHA may already went that way, but I think August 15th was the date they were going to 25 on the ice. But same protocols. There's very few arenas that are going to open up their dressing rooms with COVID. So,
Yeah.
so how many parents are going to come? Your parents are going to have to sit in the car, and it's right now the protocols that I've got from OMHA are crap. There's no protection for the arenas, arena staff basically. Everything just says it's on the arena, it's on the arena, it's on the arena. So most of the arenas I've talked to says we're not willing to take that responsibility for, at a loss. So I was talking to Nathan, and that's what Nathan said in Flushing. We're going to probably put a cleaning fee on all the rentals. Ayton right now, they're renting an hour, sitting an hour. Well, who's paying for that hour that the ice is sitting between rentals? So, dollars and cents, anybody that puts their ice in right now is stupid.
Yeah.
And that's
I would agree with Kevin, and certainly we are put off till minimum October 1st, maybe even Thanksgiving, because we want to know some of these variables. To Kevin's point, Grey Highlands was meeting today, just so you guys know. Their proposal that Nathan sent me is that they're going to allow dressing rooms for tying skates, social distancing, one parent in if you're above 10-year or below 10-year-old. So I have not talked to him yet today about whether they pass that. But the thought is, if things keep going the way they're going, some of those restrictions could ease up, but it's on a municipality by municipality basis. So I think that's what we said. We kind of have two things: our long-term relationship and how we deal with COVID this coming year. The next month is going to tell the tale, and when school goes back, and I think that's why we want to have this communication so that we're working together. And come September 1st, maybe we all know more. But it's a variable that's just beyond our control right now.
Yeah, and just an FYI, it's funny, we monitor on a daily basis. I send out to council the cases of COVID. And in July, we were doing really well. I mean, it was like maybe 1 or 2 a week. Right now, it's about 5 a week that we seem to be getting since the 1st of August. So again, I mean, there's that whole variable. What we do know is we don't know where this thing's going. And I mean, like the Junior A Hockey League is talking about a start of December 1st, and they haven't got really too many, other than that's just a date on a dartboard that they're aiming for. And maybe we need to, minor hockey, Dundalk Recreation, and Grey Highlands Recreation need to sit down and say, okay, how are we going to work with South Grey minor hockey and the use between our two communities over this season? Would we be better to run, Grey Highlands, October to end of December and shut it down and start Dundalk from January to March? I just throw that out, or vice versa. But are we better as two communities running one center for this winter? And then let's continue these meetings and figure out what 21-22 looks like when we get past this thing. But the more we talk, the worse it gets, almost, for this coming season. Anyway, that's just something for to think about and comment, or shoot back at us what you think. If you got an answer, put it down, write it down.
Yeah, I'm concerned what the membership would think of from either side if we were to go in one and not the other.
I get that, RJ, but but this is COVID.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that the difference is if we all do this together, us, Grey Highlands Rec, and your organization, if we make the decisions together, then it'll be defendable. And I think this really comes down to the communications and the relationship is going to be huge going forward. And if we learned anything at the beginning of COVID and through the first couple of months, any plans you make have to be tentative because the rules change back and forth, and they float out rumors of how strict they're going to get or how loose they're going to get, and then backtrack. I heard today from somebody, and I don't know if it's true or not, but they're looking at restricting that anybody only plays ever on one ice surface for this present time. So we just don't know what's going on. So this communication bit, both now through the COVID bit and in long term, to me, that's where it's at, and we can agree on stuff and work things out. But if we don't get together and talk like we are tonight, we're all screwed with it.
That's right. Yeah, I'll give you Cole's notes. The meeting last night, I'll just go into my email here with the OMHA. So where is it? A few points that they made regarding hockey this year. Everything's going to be in-house, probably at least until this January.
Can you define in-house? Like, is
there'll be no travel of teams.
South Grey, your group will just play together.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we won't be going to Shelburne or anywhere to play games for the foreseeable future. Now it's going to be, according to OMHA, it's going to be opened up in stages. So there's a few stages. So looks like there's 4 stages, and there's a max of 10 kids on a team until we've got full ice games. So, and there's no 5-on-5 until the 4th stage, and most of it's 3-on-3 and 4-on-4 all the way up. And there's restrictions on coaches and all that stuff. And then there'll obviously be the restrictions within the municipalities to whether or not they open up dressing rooms or whatnot. So it's gonna be messy, I think.
For safety, how can we not open up dressing rooms and then like Kevin said, an hour between? Well, can we shove kids in for 10 minutes to put their skates on and get on the ice, and then when they come off, they got 10 minutes to get their skates off and get out. We got 10 minutes to clean the dressing room, and then the next group can come in and have 10 minutes to get ready. So there's a half-hour gap between rentals, and you start into that, then I think you really are talking about offering one facility for that half a year, and then go, because the cleaning, the cost, you're going to need more ice time at that one facility to make it function, or it's going to be, I think it'll be disastrous financially for both of us.
Yeah, I wonder if a suggestion is, I think these talks we're having are awesome and opening up the communication lines. If maybe we have another meeting in a couple of weeks to see whether we know more information from OMH, from COVID, from the municipalities, because we're guessing right now, right?
For sure. But I want to, because I used to
agree that we're going to work together.
Yeah. Do you think parents, like I can remember hauling Grant to Coldwater. Man, I'd be happy to go to Flusherton for 3 months of the year just to play hockey, and then take him to Dundalk for the other 3 months. But anyway, I just throw that out for thinking, because that might be, just for the COVID year, that might be a solution that we can make work as two municipalities. That's a Grey Highlands. Interesting if you guys think that would work, because
I think it would be
travel is, but anyway.
Would you guys be interested in that when we do have our next meeting, that we have Nathan, who's our facilities manager, and possibly somebody else come and join so we can all talk together?
Yep.
That would be a good idea.
Like maybe some people from the rec committee or the mayor and the deputy mayor. I think this needs to be let's fulsome discussion and figure it out, what works for minor hockey and what works for us as well.
No, I think
It
that'd
has
be
to
good.
be the municipalities, both of us.
Yeah.
Because if they're losing money and we're losing money worse than we are now, nobody's winning.
No.
Just as a point of interest, Dave, I shot an email to Mike Givens. He's the CAO of Wellington North. That Pucks and Sticks program I was talking about, the township underwrites the insurance for that. Very similar to public skating.
Okay.
Well, and that makes sense. And it likely costs us nothing because we pay too much now.
Right.
Well, no, but every time we call, we want to add this, we want to add that. Oh, you're already covered. So that's what they tell us.
Deal.
Well, I do like the idea, because of all the COVID, that we do. It's still going to be Fletcher and Dundalk, but have a season in Dundalk and a season in Fletcherton. That way, as you said, Dave, the cleanliness could be put into play, and by then, in the middle of one of the seasons, at home or up in Fletcherton, all the COVID stuff could change and say, full teams. Now we can go. It's all done and over with. So that's the most logical way to do it right now. And really the only other premise, I think, is to try and come up with a figure that's good for the club and good for us and good for Fletcherton as far as ice time.
And the other thing about
it's going to be going up.
Yeah, the other thing about this is the municipalities would have to come to some agreement as well, because we both have staff functioning arenas. So, I mean, our staff could go up and work there because they're going to have extra work with the cleaning, and their staff could come down and work at our arena when we're closed, or vice versa,
Yeah.
But anyway, those are things that but again, this is the COVID season. There's a whole other season we need to talk about.
Yeah. I've got a concern with only running one arena. So we were projected with last year's registrants to have 17 teams. Now that was before we got restrictions on numbers. So we're likely have quite a few more teams than 17 because there can only be 10 players on a team. So now we're trying to find ice instead of 20 hours or 40 hours combined, we're trying to find probably, I'm just throwing numbers out here, 50 or 60 hours.
Yeah.
I think the thing at this point, though, is, you know, like Rob said, there's so many variables out there that that's just an idea that we can set on the shelf and see. We've got to see what your guys' needs are. We could get an announcement tomorrow that changes everything that we're thinking. I think there's been a lot of stuff that we can look into from the different sides just to see what our options are and what we can do. But, you know, like Kevin said, the reality of it is it's going to be pretty tight all around for you guys and us and Flesherton. So if we sit down together, once we know a little more and keep working on this, I think we can do something.
Yep. Does Flesherton have those half boards, like the half ice boards?
Yeah.
They do too. Okay. Okay.
If you're
Anyway,
getting up to the 60 to 70 hours a week, but we need basically 30 paid hours a week at our prime rate is what we need to operate. So if you're getting up to the 30 hours of you guys alone, then we're getting close to being able to put our ice in.
Yeah.
We're talking originally the numbers thrown to us were 18 hours a week. Well, 18 hours a week is not going to put the ice in and COVID. But if you're splitting your teams and you're maybe taking an hour and a half and you're stretching it out to the 60 hours, 30 in Flesherton, 30 here, now Nathan will probably be happy at that too. Like Nathan, I talked to him, 18 hours a week isn't cutting it for Flesherton either.
Yeah.
He's scratching his head going,
I think as things open up, there's other user groups that are going to come back too, Kevin. I mean,
that's the thing.
Nathan's met with other user groups as well, and I think, you know, we're sitting here in August and user groups are not going to commit. If we get into September and things are eased up and say by October 1st, your men's league might go and other leagues. So again, we can't, it's hard to say, we're too early to say let's commit, right?
so
And that's the thing, but that's the number we're looking at to go in. You guys are like,
Okay. Go ahead, Dave.
yeah. So why don't we come back in 2 weeks with schedules, meeting, same time, same station. We'll provide the go-to meeting, and we'll invite Nathan and a couple members from their council, rec, or the mayor, deputy mayor. And I think it'll be for you guys now to report more and discuss with them what we've discussed here too. But maybe OMHA is going to have some revelations that you guys can bring forward to us. And if there's next week something comes up, maybe the four of us, Kevin and RJ and sorry, your first name?
Rob.
Rob, yes. Maybe the four of us can have a phone conversation or a quick meeting like this if there's something that really changes. And but otherwise, let's head towards another meeting and continue meeting every 2 weeks till we sort this out, if that works.
And I'll be in contact with Nathan tomorrow, and I know he's been on site and working with us, so I'm sure he'll be fine with that. But I'll give him that time frame and get a few people from their group as well.
Okay, good. If that works for the committee, like our rec committee, yeah.
As far as I know,
I'm not sure we got a destination, but we got a journey going, and let's keep at it.
yep.
Yeah.
Dave, do you
So
want?
did you want the meeting on September 3rd, 7th?
That's 3 weeks.
Oh,
Well, that's
No,
3
yeah.
weeks.
Do we want it next week or the
27th?
27th?
27th.
27.
27th.
Or we can
If that works for everybody.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yep.
Okay.
So you can set it up and invite everybody that's here, and then between RJ and Rob, we'll get you the links to those other people, and Lindsay, you can do your magic.
Yeah.
Okay. August 27th it is then.
Good. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
if
thanks.
That's
So we got more to do in this meeting to finish it off there, Madam Clerk.
Yeah, just a couple things, but the executive doesn't have to stay. It's just routine.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks, Minor Hockey. Have a good day.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
Thank you.
Guys,
Take care.
Grayson,
Yep.
RJ, Rob.
Take care.
Take care. That's a bit of a mosh pit, isn't it?
They are, it must be difficult to have not really, what do they got? They just got a bunch of ideas.
Dave, we're
From
still Dave.
OMHA.
Dave, rest of the meeting.
Yes.
Rest of the meeting.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay.
Okay, so is there any new or unfinished business that maybe we should know as a rec committee coming down the pipe?
Has Mollington paid up their money? Dave?
That's a good question. I'll have to check with the treasurer. I'm sure they've been billed. I would hazard a guess to say, I'm not sure in the agreement there may be a payment schedule of two
Yeah, I'm
half.
pretty sure there is.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can tell you Mount Forest is because they bill us.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that clerk down there is on top of it.
No doubt. Okay,
I better say the word.
number 9. Was there any correspondence come in regarding recreational
No.
facilities? Nothing like that?
Nope.
Members' privilege? Hearing none. We've already established that.
I didn't prepare anything, but if you want an update
Sorry.
in the auditorium, it should be past final inspection tomorrow. We just
Oh,
got
great.
to put markings on the stairs. The Kids R Us are moving in. They're going to start September after the long weekend. So we will be starting to generate revenue from Kids R Us as of September. So that project's completed. Baseball, we've had baseball going in our municipality. We're one of the few ones that have had it going. So our ballparks have been doing good. Our pool, we had more lessons this year than we've ever had, registrants. Now, we did them with private lessons instead of group lessons. So we'll have to see where the finances come out on that. But in the past, it was $70 for a 2-week session, hour or 40 minutes long, but a group of 10. With the private lessons, we could go a half an hour lesson for 5 days of the week, but with only 1 to 2 people in the class. So it should be close, dollars and cents wise, but like I said, we've had over 200. Chloe asked if she could run the pool into September because we have staff at the high school and they've had so many requests for swimming lessons that she could fill another 2 weeks in September. Now we're going on that if the weather's nice. So the pool's certainly been a success. We did have a couple of issues. The Ministry of Labor visited us and we passed with absolute flying colors. He was very impressed with our protocols, impressed with what we did on the deck. The fact that we had our protocols posted on the side of the building on the entrance. He couldn't get over how well we did at it, actually. He thought he would find something. He said he found absolutely nothing. In fact, he says, I want to copy all your protocols and I'm going to pass them on. So he was excellent. So we passed that. And so, yes, I would say right now, hopefully no COVID hits us here in the next couple of weeks, but the pool's been a success.
That's great.
So, other than that, that's pretty much where we are with recreation.
Yeah.
Question
Kevin,
for
you
you. Just
Kevin,
question
you
for you, Kevin. Sorry. I want to go back to something Kevin said. Were you there when Bev inspected today?
No, I was already home, but Ethan was. He said Bev says what the guy's doing's fine. He just didn't bring enough, so he's coming back tomorrow to put more strips down. So
Okay, because I understood it was like a 2-inch strip, and Cunio's phoned Al Dom, and Al Dom went off the edge of the cliff with me. That he said that we wanted way more than we needed. He wants to cover the whole step with yellow. So maybe look at it in the morning. Just see what the problem is. Let me know.
the landing, the steps, we just put a 2-inch strip. The landing, Bev wants a 2-foot by 5-foot pad.
1 foot.
And well, now it's 1 foot. Ethan just popped in, but what he sent me in the drawings, Bev, it was going to cost us. It was $500 per landing. Well, it was going to be $1,000 to put what he sent me in a picture. But the whole problem is Bev's telling, like the building code Bev's going by, no one knows the interpretation of it. Like this guy come in today, he says, yeah, I do all the accessibility stuff all over. And he says, this isn't what I do everywhere else. So, like, the interpretation of the building code's all over the map. So, anyway, once Bev passes it, they'll probably...
Yeah, the engineer, Nelson Dolly, that does work for, well, he did our library, and he's doing work for this project. He doesn't agree with our interpretation, so I don't know what's going on.
What he's putting down is probably going to last about 3 weeks anyway. So once we get past inspection,
Okay.
I think that's all Bev wants, is us to get by inspection. Once it's by inspection, he doesn't care. Then it'll be up to the accessibility committee coming in saying, that's no good. You know, but if they don't come in, then whatever. But like I said, if there's 10 different interpretations of it, the accessibility committee is going to come in and go, that's no good anyway. They're going to tell us what we're going to have to do anyways again. So
Anyway, well, I wish the building code inspector in the sky would come down and tell us what the real code is. But anyway, okay.
That's what the installer said.
Well, you
I would like to thank Kevin for the flag out at the Drumore Park this summer. It's been very nice. Thank you.
I changed them all. I just told you that was the only one I did to make.
And I believe every word you told me, Kevin.
The flag cop has spoken. Okay, thanks, Kevin.
Anyway, thank you. Okay,
Is that
so
a
the next,
Toronto Maple Leaf thing on your hat, Kevin?
No, that's Canada. Team Canada.
okay. All right.
I'm not a Leaf fan. I'm happy the Leafs are out.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Come on now. You were good with the flag. Now you've gone downhill.
oh my. Anyway,
Get a hold of your meeting, Mr. Chair.
yeah, thank you, Leaf fan. The next meeting, as I said, was August 27th at 7, and that's okay with everybody. It won't go to adjournment. Be resolved that the committee adjourn the meeting at, I have 8:09.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Can we have a mover for that?
I'll get the.
Brian, can you move
Oh, yeah,
that?
I'll move it. Do we have a seconder?
Thank
Brian,
you.
thank you so much. What was that?
Lindsay, can you send that meeting out for tomorrow at 1 o'clock then to John and Brian and Selwyn Hicks
Yep.
and Kim Wingrove?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Have a
I
good
don't
night,
think
guys.
Kim can Kim can't make it, just so you know, but we'll send it anyway.
Yep.
All right.
See ya.
I just so you know, I met the new clerk yesterday, so that was good. Our new clerk.
At the post
I
office.
told her the other day, she's